Hey, ever feel stuck and wonder why some people achieve greatness while others remain average? Join me, Mark Jean, and Beyond Average to Great as we uncover the secrets to breaking free from mediocrity and unlock the greatness within you. Through inspiring stories and insights from people who have changed their lives, you'll learn how strong decisions and bold actions can take you to the next level. Let's go. Okay, welcome back to Beyond Average to Great, where our guest today is Katie Shea. And Katie is a sales and performance coach who specializes in helping new coaches enter the coaching industry with confidence. She created the Impact Experience, a program that offers clarity, launch strategies, and sales techniques for aspiring coaches. Drawing from her collaborations with industry leaders like Cardone and Richard Dolan, Katie combines performance psychology and sales skills in her coaching. Her mission is to help millions of coaches achieve their dreams and make a global impact. Katie, welcome.
Hi, Mark. I love the introduction.
Thank you. I worked hard on that.
I know you did. I know.
Thank you for sending those, helping me out with that. So we've known each other for a few years, and I've heard your story, and I think it's a great story of just the obstacles you had to overcome to get to where you're at. So why don't you share a little bit of your story so we can get to know you more?
Yeah. So, I'll take you back to like little girl Katie Shea. I think that that's the best way to do it because I think that every experiences and every next step in our life comes from when we were really young. And so, I'll take you back to like sixth grade Katie Shea. I moved into a new school and I was just trying to fit in. I wore Abercrombie and Fitch on my shirt because I want to be the cool kids, right?
Yep.
And at that time, they were like, Katie, you're struggling with math, you're struggling like in school, you're constantly getting like bad grades. What's going on? And so once they started doing a little bit of digging, they found out that I had a learning disability.
Hmm.
So I was shoved in the back of the hallway where nobody wanted to be. And I went from trying to fit in to now this kid that was secluded with the weird, quote unquote, weird kids.
Hmm.
Right. And so fast forward to like freshman year, I was like, I want to break out of this classroom. I could do it. I think I could do it. So my teacher wrote the word because on the board. And I went up to her after class. I said, Mrs. Fox, I know how to spell the word because. I want to break out of here. And she said, Katie, this is where you're supposed to be. Now go sit back down. And
Wow.
like, yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. But that was like the moment that really made me realize how powerful your mind is and had me step into the coach I am today to help people believe in themselves and to learn sales and to learn skills to excel them forward into life. And it was because of that experience before in my life. So I think it all just brings everything full circle, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool. What point was that like the pivotal point for you as far as making a turn in where your direction was going to all of a sudden now you're turning into a new direction as far as what's possible for you?
Yeah, I didn't realize it back then because I didn't do the self-development work on myself. I think I realized it when I was, my gosh, I was 23 years old. I started realizing that that was why it held me back. But it became that pivotal moment for me without me realizing it. But once I realized it, things started snowballing in my adult life like crazy.
So how did you get into the self-development world as far as what caused you to start educating yourself more as opposed to being formally educated from school? Now you're self-educating.
Yeah, so I wanted to become a teacher, like an elementary school teacher, because of that moment.
Mm,
And it didn't happen. I failed out of it. And I was like, of course, the universe gives you what you need in that moment.
yeah.
And I ended up in roofing sales for my dad's roofing company. And I sucked at it. Like I got zero results for like 8 months. I would drive to these roofing companies, get so badly rejected. And it was in that moment where I was like, I need to become really good at this craft because I want to prove myself wrong. Like I want to prove myself wrong that I could actually do this and I could be good at something. And I immersed myself into the world of sales. I found Grant Cardone and
Huh?
I I just surrounded myself and invested into everything sales. And that was the moment that I got introduced to, wow, you could become a millionaire. You could become so much more than you were told to be. And that was really, really cool.
And how did you find Grant Cardone?
YouTube.
You too. I think that's how most everybody finds him because I came across him because I was looking similar. I was looking for a way out, meaning I started a business. I was getting burned out, didn't really know what to do, how to get from where I was to where I wanted to go. And I just thought maybe real estate investing was what I needed. And I've always been interested in real estate as a way to create wealth and came across him online. And that's how I got into his world.
So
So,
funny. He's all over YouTube, best
yeah,
marketer in the whole entire world.
absolutely. Absolutely. And not only that, but he's got the knowledge and the skill and the know-how to teach and help others. So from that, how did you go from becoming a salesperson that just really struggled to now all of a sudden you're doing really well? Now you're getting into coaching. What brought
Yeah. So that year with working for my dad, I sucked at sales so much where I got just rejected constantly. And then when I immersed myself into sales and immersed myself into Grant, I remember getting like no sales for like 8 months. And then the last like couple months of the year, I closed over $1 million for my dad's company. And
wow.
yeah, it was big. And I was like, whoa, I could do this. Like, this is really, really cool. So then I left my dad's company because family business is hard. I
Yeah.
love my dad, but I was like, I gotta go. And I went to inside sales and I crushed sales records there. And I started selling like high ticket and like doing all of those things. Then people started saying, hey, Katie, how do I do what you're doing? And that's where like my sales coaching business is born because I was like, I could get paid for this. Like, why not? And it's
Yeah,
just well from there.
that's amazing. So how long have you been coaching and what lights you up about coaching and helping others?
I've been coaching for about, oh my gosh, 4 years now, 4.5 years. It's been a long journey, like for me to understand what's working, what's not working. But for me, I've realized that what really lights me up to like help people is tapping into the potential of who they could become.
Mm,
Because I think that a lot of people get so stuck in the vision of, let's just say, becoming $1 million, but they're not being that version of themselves that would like who's already the $1 million earner. Like they're not being that person of themselves. So I love eliminating all of the bullshit in their lives and
yeah,
then giving them the pathway to like say, hey, if you want to become a millionaire, you got to start acting like one like now before you're even a millionaire. Because
yeah,
that's how you get there, right?
yeah. A conversation I had with Alex, one of our other guests, Alex Spanton, he talked about the possibility, that we tend to limit ourselves and not really stretch ourselves. It's like, what if I could become the top salesman in my company? What's possible then? What if I could do this? What does that take? And so I think that question comes up a lot, and especially in top performers like yourself, because it's one of those things. It's like, you know what? There's nothing holding me back. There's nothing stopping me from doing this. Why don't I just do it and put in the work to make it happen? So,
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that where people get tripped up is doing the work. I listened to an Alex Hormozy podcast actually recently, and he was like, a lot of people are so focused on becoming a millionaire, but they're not focused on the actions that you need to take daily to become a millionaire. And that's the difference in people. And like that just hit home so much with me because I think that that's where a lot of people struggle at the end of the day.
yeah, it is. It's taking the action that's intentional action that moves you towards that goal instead of just being busy.
Yeah.
I find myself being busy a lot in my business, but it's not moving the needle towards financial goals or any other goals. And I have to really stop sometimes and go, you know what? What are the things that drive this business? What are the things that bring in the money, the activities I need to do? So it helps me kind of reset. Um, so what do you see with you're helping coaches now or people that want to get into coaching because I feel that's something I enjoy doing is
Yeah.
coaching others, but I haven't really monetized it. And I know that's something that you're great at. So how do you help coaches or people that have a skill or want to help others with what they've learned and their knowledge to monetize that so that they can, help others achieve their goals and dreams?
Yeah, it all comes down to a couple things. It's sales and getting yourself known, right? Because if nobody knows who you are, you cannot make an impact. And so I've been really big on the fact of like, let's hone in on something that truly lights you up to the core. Because I used to coach like a lot of the network marketers, and they would be selling a lot of products, but they weren't really connected to the products that they sold. They didn't really care about the products that they would sell at the end of the day. And so that's where the coaching business of me coaching coaches came into play, because they started saying, "Hey, Katie, how to become a coach like you?" And so
Yeah.
I started refining the process, saying, okay, well, what are you really good at? Like, what have you done in your life that you could bring something from point A to point B with? And so it kind of starts there, but then you got to get really clear on like your audience and like who is that person that you're speaking to, and then find where your audience is and connect to your audience and sell them into your offer.
So how do you help them get clear on their audience?
Mm. Most likely coaches are selling to a past version of themselves,
Ah,
which is the coolest thing ever. So when I say, hey, what is your audience thinking, feeling, and doing right now? It's probably a past version of you. And so it's just almost like soul searching to say, well, what did I feel? Where was I at? And that builds the best offers, because you're literally building an offer for a past version of you, which you're going to be able to get inside your audience's head. And once you do that, it attracts them to your brand.
performance psychology. How does the psychology play into coaching? Because I know that we all have stumbling blocks or issues that we're dealing with. What are you learning about psychology and how are you using that to help?
Yeah, so psychology was a huge part. Like when you and I were in together with Richie's program, that was a
Yeah.
huge internal shift for me, where I was such into like the sales mode where I forgot to go internal within myself. And I felt bad, like on the coaching side, for example, I felt bad charging people for my services. Even though I sold other people's services, I felt bad charging myself because I didn't fully believe in myself. And
Hmm.
so without digging deep into why that's there and uncovering that and understanding the awareness of that, you're going to continue to be stuck and wonder why. So like for me, a huge part of like what I do with people like in my programs, because I had to do it within myself, is working on your relationship with money. Because if you want to sell your coaching services, you gotta feel worthy to attract money in, and you have to feel very confident asking for that price.
That that is big. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, it's huge. I didn't realize that, right? Because I went through a period where I got so much debt and so many things happened, but then I couldn't sell my coaching service because I felt unworthy of it.
So what are some of the things that has you excited about where your coaching business is going and helping others?
So I'm actually right now like in a transition period, because I got away from the sales training a lot because I got so invested in like building things from the ground up that I forgot about my sales skills. And for me, I sales is the bloodline of business. Like if you
Mhm.
don't have sales in your business, there's no business. It's a hobby, right?
Absolutely.
It's a hobby. So I'm transitioning right now to really serve coaches that are more established, which is very fun for me. I still have the part of my business where I help new coaches launch and build, but I'm
Mhm.
at that point right now where I'm like, I really want to serve people that are stuck at like 5K a month or like something like that, where they have their things already set, the foundation set, but they just need to excel forward. And so I'm really excited about that because I'm starting to work with people like that, and the energy, like I think business is energy, and the energy is just awesome. It's awesome. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So what books have you read recently, or is there a certain book you've read recently that has just kind of
Hmm.
made an impact on you?
Okay. I actually have one behind me.
Okay.
Million Dollar Offers by Alex Hormozy.
Okay.
I love this book. I'm a huge Alex Hormozy fan. And this book, the way that he simplifies things is huge. Like if you're having trouble with offer creation and like selling, that's a great book. Um, that's a good book. You're a Badass at Making Money is another great book as well.
Okay. Man, this is going really fast. As far as our time, I'm like, man, this is all great information. I'm like writing down as fast as I can some of the things you're sharing because it's so true. I mean, just the things that we struggle with, and I would say the things that you've talked about are things that I struggle with a lot with, especially with money. Even the services that we do with home automation, some of that, it's a lot of big ticket items, but sometimes working with clients, making sure that we fit within their budget and things like that. It's sometimes you sell yourself short. I make sure everybody else gets paid, but sometimes I'm the one that's not always paid at the end of jobs, or there's not a lot left over at that. And so I'm learning to value my time and not just give my time away with clients. If they're calling me asking for help or needing a service, I make sure now I send them an invoice when they call me to let them know that my time is not free.
Yeah,
So even if I zero out that invoice, I let them know just by sending that it's, hey, my time's not free. This time is complimentary. Next time you might get a bill or next time you will get a bill, not might, you will get a bill.
they'll get a bill.
Yeah. So
I
I'm
love.
to adjust my relationship with money. And that's one of the things that um, I'm excited about seeing what happens, and so much so that I'm doing a little group, putting a group together of guys that I know that struggle with money, especially artists and musicians. As you can see behind me, I, get to work with. That was my past life, I guess you could say, of 10 years ago. I was more in music, but a lot of musicians struggle with money. So I'm going to do like a workshop, like a 30-day workshop with them, like once a week, get together and just help them get their relationship right with money because it helps me to solidify the things I'm learning to put into practice so I can teach others.
I love that. I think that that's a huge thing for a lot of people, getting the relationship right with money. I've done a lot of the inner work for that, but I still notice like when I go back into like a state of lack or like a state of just feeling that lack, like I need to
Right.
dive deeper into my
Yeah.
money and just like going internal again. And I think it's an ever like you're always going to be going through that because you're always going to hit new levels in your life.
Mm. What are some of the questions you ask yourself when you're kind of doing a self-assessment or audit of your where you're at?
Do you mean like if I hit like a roadblock?
Yeah. Like, how do you break through that? Do you like doing a self-assessment? Like, do you have questions that you ask yourself to reflect on?
Yeah, actually, this is so funny because this was actually given to me by Richie.
Oh,
I think that we all did this. I don't know if we all did this or if he just told me, but um, he said to do like a 24-hour self-talk challenge. Was that given by Richie? I think it was.
I think so. I think, yeah, I think I recall that.
So whenever I hear and I feel myself, like actually I was just in the state the other day, like I felt myself going down that path again. I always ask myself, okay, like what's really going on right now and how am I feeling? And I actually coach on this because I think that this is a really powerful thing. If you want to create new results in your life, it all comes down to the way that you're feeling and the way that you're being in the world. And so if I start feeling shitty, I'll be like, okay, hold on. Let me take a pause. Let me take a step back and let me just locate like how am I feeling today? I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling just like not good. And I like start like listing out all the things that I'm feeling. And then
Hmm.
I go to like my alter ego. I create like an alter ego and I say, what would like how is she feeling in the future? Like how is she feeling right now? And if that version of myself is not in alignment with the alter ego that I've created, then it goes, okay, well, now I need to question those beliefs that are coming up and see if they're actually true and get myself back in alignment with this person over here.
I like that. And that does ring a bell when Richie talked about that, especially about the alter ego, or as far as who is your superhero character.
Yeah, yeah,
And he talked about that, how would they respond? How would they act? And you're right, that does help because it's something that it gives you the confidence to go, hey man, how would, a Marvel character, Captain America or Thor or whoever, how
yeah.
would they respond to this? How would they act? So it gives you confidence for sure. So
100%. If it's like, if it's not in alignment, and by the way, I'm not saying never feel bad because we're human beings and
Mhm.
you're going to experience the bad feelings, but I think that the difference is the relationship to how long I stay there now,
Yeah.
right? That's really the difference.
Yeah. And I actually texted Richie on Friday because my Friday was all mapped out. Things were going great until about 10 a.m. It's like everything started to fall apart. And I just got caught up in the anxiousness, the stress of it all. And then for whatever reason, this thought popped into my head, how would I coach myself through this?
That's a good
And
question.
it made me stop what I was doing. I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, this is not that, it's not that big of a fear or threat to make your fear level or whatever anxiety go up. It's a problem you just got to solve or handle, take care of it, and then shift back to what you were doing and get that completed. So it, I think having that awareness, like you're talking about, being aware of what's going on, taking a step back, doing a quick assessment, and then figuring out how to, you know, attack those problems.
Yeah, I think that that's the best strategy. And I think it's a skill at the end of the day. Like it's a
Yeah.
learned to develop.
Yeah, and the one thing I've learned, even, this podcast Beyond Average to Great, I used to think people that were doing great things, whether it was being doing great at schoolwork or whatever it might be, I thought they were just born with something different. They had something different about them. And, I just thought, oh well, they're just great speakers or they're just great. Some people are gifted, but the ones that are really great worked at it and they put in the time and they learned the skill and they worked their butt off, to get there. And so that's the one thing I've learned as far as, man, it's not, it doesn't take any special skill. You just have to make a decision, commit to that decision, and then take action, as Grant talks about. And that's really the three things that you need to start becoming great at whatever you do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think, again, I think a lot of people get stuck in that. Like it's so simple, right?
Uh-huh.
It's one of the most simple things in the whole entire world. But if you were to talk to past me, I knew all of those things. Like I was like, okay, like, look what's going on, take action. Like I knew all of like the steps, but I still was not getting the results I wanted. And it was because I was so stuck in my head. You know,
Mm,
like I like even though I have the awareness to look internally, sometimes you get almost, I don't want to say addicted to those emotions or like that past version of yourself, but you stay
yeah.
with yourself because it's easier to do that.
Hmm. What What was like that after you'd learned those sales skills and you went and had your first deal when you were working for your dad's roofing company? What was that emotion like when you closed that first deal after when you put into practice those sales skills?
I was like, holy shit. Like this actually works. I was like, whoa, like I could do this. It was really that like I could do this. This is and I became obsessed with sales because of that. Like I love sales, but I think that the coolest part about sales is really understanding and diving into helping people make really powerful decisions in their life. And
Hmm.
that's something that I had to do within myself. And in that moment, I was just like mind blown that I could get somebody to like hand over a high ticket, price like that. And it was like, it was done. I was like, whoa, this is how business works. This is kind of cool. Let me do it again.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
That's kind of cool. I like that being addicted to sales because it is when you help someone solve a problem through sales
Yeah,
that you know that your product or your service can make a difference. It's addicting because it does make you want to go, man, I want to do this again. How can I find more people to talk to? So,
100%. Yeah, sales is cool. It's really the mindset shift of like, how can I impact somebody's life today rather than how can I sell somebody today?
yeah, I had such an aversion to sales
I
because
did.
I tried sales. I say tried, because I didn't really. immerse in it. I did like retail sales. Every kid or every person growing up probably does some sort of retail sales, and just didn't like it. I wasn't that good at it. And so even when I started my business, I wouldn't say I was in sales. I was business development. That sounded like sexier for whatever reason. But now that I've started to understand sales and know that it is a skill, that I started, now I'm, VP of sales, or I just gave myself that title, even though I own the company, but I'm more proud to be called to be in sales. So
Yeah, sales is fun. It's now that I teach it, people get stuck in like how you said, like person, like business development and like putting different terms to it to make it feel less salesy. Because nobody wants to be like the car salesman, slick back hair, like trying to get
exactly.
you at a good deal. Like it's the coolest thing to me about sales and like really stepping into the role of sales is challenging the heck out of people. And if you want to go back to psychology, it's really just challenging people because they're going to throw objections at you like, I don't have the money. They're going to throw objections at you like, I don't have the time. And most of those objections are actually not true. And there's an internal or external factor of why that's actually there. And it's our job as the business owner, I guess you could say coach, like sales is just coaching people through it,
Yeah.
is to weed through it and really eliminate all of the bullshit and all the things that like really is going on there to really find the core of the
Yeah.
center,
Yeah.
right?
That is true because the and Grant, speaking of Grant Cardone, he trains his guys so well on that, especially handling objections.
Oh yeah.
It's it's one of those things that the more you listen to when you have those conversations with people and they start giving you objections, you have to dig deeper to what really is the objection, because sometimes the objection is just it could be a complaint, not necessarily an objection, and you don't know what that is unless you dig a little deeper. Maybe it's not, oh, we didn't want, for my industry, we didn't want 100-inch screen. We just needed a 55, and you're selling me 100-inch screen. So you have to find out, oh, then let's get you into a 55-inch screen or whatever. So, or, that was just a simple example, but yeah, it is. You have to find out what they're objecting for. It might not be the price. It might not be it just could be you're on the wrong product. So,
100% people buy value. If the
yeah,
value is there and you show the value, people are going to buy it,
yeah. And
right?
it's, um, the value has to be there for sure. Because I even experienced that with some of the guys that work with us, and that want to charge a lot of money to do things, but if they're not providing value for what they're charging, then it just doesn't make sense to hire them. So
100%. Yeah. The value always like I used to, so I've sold like a lot of like big coaches in the industry. I've sold like a lot of like their offers and like I've seen a lot of like really big people's offers and like I noticed the difference in the offers is not that like the price doesn't really matter. It's just like
yeah,
the things that you have in there that increases the value of the offer. And the people that had value in their offer, doing the sale was easy. It's like
mhm,
you don't even have to be a good salesperson. If the value in the offer is really good, people are most likely going to buy it. But if the value in the offer is bad, and if even if you're a really good salesperson, it's not going to be that great, and people are going to like create all these like excuses and objections, and then they're going to ghost you.
yeah. Do you help those coaches put together their offers?
I do. That's probably one of the most fun things for me. I help them put together their offers, their programs. But the offer is cool because again, like I've seen so many offers from like really big coaches and just like
Mhm.
a lot of big people in the industry. And I've seen what's worked and what doesn't work. And the offer is like kind of like a make or break thing.
What what are the one or two things that are included in offers that you feel work best? And then what are the things that you feel don't work?
So I think that what it comes down to is like when you're creating an offer, you need to have a couple different components. You need to have scarcity in your offer. You need to have some kind of urgency in your offer. I like guarantees. Not everybody likes guarantees. I like them because it adds a lot of value to the offer, because a lot of people in the coaching industry, and when they're getting coached by coaches, they don't believe in themselves to follow through. And
Yeah.
so like a really good offer debunks like a lot of objections that your current client is going to give you before they even give you them.
Mm. So
That's
you,
what the offer does.
yeah, so you're basically answering the objections in your offer.
Yes. Yes. So as I'm reading out my offer, like I'm not going to just be like, you're going to get one-on-one coaching with me. Like that's cool. That
Yeah.
doesn't, what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to go, hey, you're going to get one-on-one coaching with me because I know that you're a busy mom. And every single week we're going to meet and I'm going to create you a plan that is specifically for you, even though you're super busy. Like, let's just say it's a busy mom or something
Yeah.
like that. Right. Like I'm going to go around my go around the objections like that through my offer before I even get to the price and the sales.
Okay. Taking some notes. This is great stuff.
It's fun. It's the offer part is fun. And a lot of coaches, a lot of people miss that opportunity because again, you could be the best salesperson in the world, you could have the best program in the world, but if you don't have a good offer, it doesn't really matter.
Well, one thing I know that you're great at that I see, especially on Instagram, is you're great at getting attention. So, how do you coach people to get attention? Because that was one of the things that you said. It's like, you have to get known, in sales as a coach. So, how do you, get attention?
I use Instagram as like my platform. So I go where my people are, and my people are mostly on Instagram. And I'm actually going to be launching a podcast and YouTube channel because that's like the next step for me. But
Yeah.
it's really like getting yourself on a platform and putting content out there. And I talk about like building authority-based content. It shouldn't be just like you with your cat or you with your dog or like
Yeah.
things like that. Like that's cool. People want to see that because I think it humanizes your brand, but people are coming to you for some reason. And so you got to build that authority through your content. And so authority content can be, how-to videos. It could be like showing your own transformation story and like just building like that credibility behind your brand to get people to say like, hey, how can I work with you? Right? Like that's a huge thing.
One of the thing I notice about your posts is that your posts are very centered around connecting and helping others, not about what you do and what you can, it's more I hope I'm saying this right, but meaning it's not about you and in that sense, it's more about here's how I want to help you, here's how I can help you. And so I really like that. And I I don't know how you do that so well, but you do it really well.
Practice, practice. It's so funny because this is actually when we were in Richie's mastermind or whatever it
Uh-huh.
was, master coaching program.
Yeah.
With like at that point, like reels were starting to come out, like Instagram reels, like that was like the thing back then.
Yeah.
And I remember like having this mindset of, okay, if Instagram is pushing reels right now, I'm gonna go all in on this thing, even though I hate it and I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I went all in and I put myself to like a 30-day Reels challenge. And I remember like I would post something and I didn't know what I was doing, by the way. I just was kind of like figuring it out as I went. And I would
Uh-huh.
post something and I would like close my phone because I would want to delete it like right away because I was terrified of like what people would think about me and like all these different things. And I stuck to that for 30 days straight. And then my account started growing and growing and growing. And I was like, whoa, like this stuff works.
Yeah.
So it's really about how you said, like really connecting to your audience and doing it in a way that it's not for them, but or I'm sorry, it's not for you, but it's for them.
Yeah. For me, there was a point where I was doing the way for me to make it not about me was to have a conversation
Mm,
and so I used to like when my boys like when I'd pick them up from school I'd say conversations in cars with Max or with Marcus,
yeah.
and so that way I would ask them, like what are, and I would kind of give them what I wanted to talk about. So let's say sales. I would say what's an essential skill as a business owner you need to have,
Mm,
and say sales and why are sales important. So I'd ask them a few questions and let them answer the questions. And so it was a way for me to not make it about me, but draw out some things that hopefully could help others. So I would give them questions like that. So I still struggle with how do I serve others and it not feel about me. And so,
Yeah, I think it really comes, and I remember that, and I love those videos, by the way, when you used to do them.
thank you.
Yeah, they're really cool. But it really comes down to like if we want to reverse backwards a little bit, like knowing your audience better than that they know their audience, or better than they know themselves. So it's like almost like getting inside the minds of your audience to really know where are they at right now, like what is their point A and what is their point B of the transformation that they want, and then constantly almost like selling the dream, selling the dream, selling the dream, but acknowledging where they're at.
Yeah.
And like again, it comes from a past version of you because that's who you're really coaching at the end of the day. So you're just posting content technically for you, but you're doing it for the audience that's a past version of you, which it feels
Yeah.
authentic at that point.
That's that's really good because now that we're having this conversation, I really realize the people that I could help the most are other business owners that are struggling in their business because that's what I'm going through and have gone through. And I feel like I'm 5 years down the road in just a short amount of time, just because being in conversations with you, Richie, and the group that we've been a part of. And so, maybe that's the audience I need to help are the other business owners that are struggling with how they take their business from point A to point B. How do we help them bridge that gap?
100%. Yeah, that totally makes sense for you. Like you should totally lean into it. And then your Instagram content, speaking to that business owner. And like that's how it starts going.
Yeah, that's good. So I've got a lot of good notes and now I've just got to commit to taking action on these.
You're
Um,
you're gonna do it, Mark. I think that that's really cool. And again, like it really does come from that, right? Like it really comes from you. And I love that you just lit up by that because like that's what I love doing is like really helping people like identify like, okay, what are you really good at and build something off of that because it's gonna feel
yeah,
more authentic and posting's gonna feel more authentic. Everything's just gonna feel real.
yeah, yeah. Well, man, I'm so grateful for the time that you gave me. And how can people get in touch with you?
Through Instagram, actually. Instagram's a great platform for me. I'm on it. You can find me at Katie_Shea 13.
Okay, perfect. Hey, thank you for joining us today on Beyond Average to Great. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to show your appreciation is by subscribing to our show and sharing it on your social media channels. Don't forget to tag me when you do. We'll see you on the next episode. Until then, remember, be great.